I don't know about you, but I am the kind of person who can easily watch the same movie more than once. And that usually happens whenever a character makes an impression on me. So I decided to look back and make a list of the movies I've watched the most and of the characters responsible for my spending too much time in front of the silver screen. And as it turned out to be quite a long list, in this video I will only be sharing with you my favorite male movie characters. Before I get down to it, let's establish that all the movies I'm going to mention and all the actors embodying the characters in my top 10 are fantastic. That way I won't repeat myself and I will be able to get straight to the point, which is why I think these characters are extra special. Finally, I invite you to pause the video and try to guess before I tell you what characters make up my top 10. That way you can later tell me in the comments how predictable or unpredictable I am. Let's get started. 28 Days Later's protagonist is the kind of guy you could easily meet in real life, which of course makes Jim an extremely relatable and believable character. And who doesn't like seeing a run-of-the-mill young man immersed in a zombie apocalypse, going from being completely clueless to becoming a hero, inviting us to wonder what we would do if we were in the same situation. All this while very cool music is playing in the background. And let's not forget that as the good guy and optimist he is, Jim manages to instill some hope back in Selina's heart, who didn't have it in her to slice him up when he looked unhinged, even after she had assured him that if he turned, she wouldn't hesitate to kill him. Now, that's what I call love. What is a nasty, aggressive, ignorant man like Dixon doing in my top 10? Well, there are villains out there who do not have a heart, but Dixon's was just on airplane mode. And once it started pumping blood, he kind of made up for his shortcomings. Dixon may be a simpleton, but he is an intricate character that as an evil man was capable of making us laugh, and that as a better version of himself makes it impossible for anyone not to forgive him. The bond between Frankie and Eddie in $1 Million Baby is utterly precious. The first is a grumpy, cold man. The second, his right hand, always ready to steer Frankie in the right direction, even if he doesn't always succeed. Both men are equally endearing, and together they are so amusing you could watch them shoot in the breeze for hours. And they make it so easy for us to connect with them that when tragedy strikes and Frankie out of despair blames it all on Eddie, we can feel their pain, as well as a hole opening in our chests as we see their friendship falter. Both Forrest Bondurant from Lawless and H from Wrath of Man are quiet, serious, confident, poised, tough, strong, powerful, and unapologetic men. They are also way too intense for the real world, but on the big screen they simply look perfect. I believe that what draws me to them the most is their ability to do what they think is right without caring about the risk, and the fact that they are no heroes but criminals that couldn't care less about making the world a better place. And you have to admit that the fact that there are no moral lessons to be learned from these two men is quite refreshing. However bossy he is, Nathaniel Poe, aka Hawkeye, is too good for these modern times. He belongs in the past and we belong in the present with our toothbrush and toothpaste. But if for whatever reason we had to go back to 1757, I bet all of us would love to have him by our side, telling us beautiful stories by the moonlight or coming up with a plan to rescue us from danger. And even if the damsel in distress scenario is kind of outdated, Hawkeye's attitude towards Cora's defenselessness is far from cliched, making him a character worth revisiting whenever Prime Video makes The Last of the Mohicans available to its subscribers. Arthur Fleck has no redeemable qualities, and he is the kind of guy you would never want to meet in the flesh. But when it comes to villains, it doesn't get any better than Joker. His presence is so strong that even if his journey is plagued with suffering and pain, it's impossible for us to look away. We just feel compelled to see him grow into a monster. I believe that the sickening nature of Joker is as off-putting as it is enthralling, and that balance, which at first may seem impossible to achieve, is easy for Joker to strike, simply because he is part of a fantasy world. Nevertheless, and however fictional Arthur Fleck may be, his pain feels extremely real, and so does his bitterness towards the world. Even if Bodyguard is not a movie, David Budd deserves a place in this list. He is a broken man incapable of saving himself, but whose job is to protect others. His vulnerability is hidden underneath that rigid body language and scarce dialogue, but if you look closer, you can see that everything in him shouts, "I'm lost." Of course, as tormented as he may be, he is also resourceful and willing to risk it all in order to find the truth. And in so doing, there is finally hope for him and for those who until then could do little to save him from himself. David Budd is indeed a hero without a cape. Thomas Tull is a family man whose life couldn't look more peachy. Unfortunately, those two psychos had to come along and ruin his peaceful provincial life, uncovering the big secret he was hiding from everyone he knew. Now, a character with two sides always makes for an interesting protagonist, mainly when the contrast is only in the amount of blood they are willing to shed. Other than that, Joey and Tom are equally calm, intelligent, and willful. One was ready to betray his brother to leave a life of crime behind, the other was willing to go back to his old ways to protect the new life he had made for himself. And if Maria Bello's character couldn't resist Tom even though she was disgusted by his lies, how can we not root for him and hope that his skeletons don't crowd those wholesome family dinners? Neo is the quiet, shy and simple guy who takes his time to accept he is the savior of humanity. This combination of frailty, wonderment and potential power makes this iconic character stay with us. And you can call me superficial, but it doesn't hurt either that the universe built around him makes Neo look extremely cool. Nicky Santoro may be cuckoo in the head and have a foul mouth, but he is also hilarious. And as the extremely violent man he is, we shouldn't feel sorry for him when his time is up, but we do because movies. So let's just forget about the holes in the desert and remember his forceful conversations with Ace instead. He may look too cold and statuesque at times, but Casino Royale's James Bond is also capable of love. Otherwise, it wouldn't have been possible for him to turn that showery moment with Vesper into one of the most romantic scenes in a non-romantic movie. Leonidas is courageous, fearless, strong, powerful, and just. And he is also a good father, leader, and husband. To top it off, all these wonderful qualities are matched by his perfect physique. Sure, the real Leonidas may not have been as powerfully built as Gerard Butler in 300, but his luscious exterior helps to portray him as the hero he is and to better tell us his story of triumph. And let's not forget, Leonidas is accompanied by equally extraordinary characters who are an extension of their leaders' bravery and determination. It doesn't get any more awe-inspiring than this. Maybe that is why I went to see 300 18 times in theaters. A bit too much? Nah, it was perfect. And this is how far we get today. If you placed your bets, let me know how many guesses you got right. And if you think there is a character I should have included in my top 10, tell me who it is. I'd love to meet him. Until we see each other again, have fun.